Thank you, David, for the very engaging session this
You're welcome.
morning. So, what do you mean by digital literacies? There are very different definitions.
Well, I suppose I'd make the distinction between the idea of a literacy or a practice or a behaviour or capability. There's lots of different words in that area, but I'd make the distinction between the idea of a literacy and a skill. Mm-hmm. So in terms of digital, a skill would be knowing how to use the platform or the software. But the literacy is sort of knowing what to do with it. Mm-hmm. So that would be, say, the difference between understanding how to write a tweet versus understanding how to get involved in that conversation.
In your session, you said being good with digital technologies isn't good enough. So what should we be aiming for?
Well, I think I was saying that being good isn't the point. Mm-hmm. Because I think when it comes to digital, sometimes we do get obsessed with the idea of learning the technology, so learning the platform, rather than necessarily developing the practices that are going to be useful within that platform. I could say that I was really good with Facebook because I know what all the features and buttons do, but I've got no friends and everything I say is offensive. I'm posting weird things, doesn't make any sense, because I'm not building those relationships, building trust, because I'm too focused on being good with all of the features, mm-hmm. but not actually developing the kind of practice of being a human being in digital spaces.
So David, how can we engage with our students to help them learn?
I think it depends how you define learn. So for me, we were talking in the workshop about how some students are really tactical. Mm-hmm. They want to get from point A to point B as quickly as possible. So if learning for a student is getting through the material, learning the stuff and doing well at the assessment, mm-hmm. well then that's one thing. At the other end of that spectrum, if you like, I think for some students it's really important that they feel part of something, that they feel part of a community of students, mm-hmm. that they feel, especially with online learning, that there are other people out there that are wrestling with the same challenges they are, giving people the chance to talk about themselves a little bit, to talk about the environment they're in, so that then when they're learning, they have that sense that they're doing it together, mm-hmm. and that can really help motivate people, especially online.
So how could we use digital technologies to enhance our students' experience?
I think the important thing is to quite often make the implicit explicit. So to make it clear what the value of engaging in a particular mode might be. Mm-hmm. So for example, in the workshop I was talking about the difference between writing essays and blogging. Right? For a lot of students, blogging looks terrifying and sort of pointlessly difficult, mm-hmm. But yet there are a lot of educational advantages to it. But we need to explain what the reasons are for why we're using that mode.
So this being a UCEM Inspire session, mm-hmm. we ask all our Inspire speakers what inspires them. So what inspires you?
Okay, yeah, big question. What I find inspiring is being in situations where I don't quite know what's going on. So I'm not quite sure of the answer and I'm not necessarily 100% sure of what direction I'm heading in. It's one of the reasons why I like working at the University of the Arts London, because that's a kind of quite a creative process. Mm-hmm. So I find it inspiring to explore in that way. So sometimes people would call it divergent rather than convergent thinking. Mm-hmm. And I like being in those environments because what sometimes happens is that the things that you discover, the things that you learn, whether it's about a subject or about yourself, are things that you could never have imagined when you went into that situation. And that's quite exciting and, yeah, for me, very inspiring.